Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Let me just
Okay.
start the recording first.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Dear participants and program coordinator, good morning and I welcome you all to the session 12 on the last day of this faculty development program. The lecture will be delivered by Professor Anjana Pandey, a senior professor at Department of Biotechnology at Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology. The lecture is entitled as Case Study on Biowaste Utilization for Bioenergy Production. Over to you, ma'am. Please
Thank
make
you.
your slide in slide mode
Okay.
and
Thank you.
please proceed.
Is it okay?
No,
Hello.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It is full screen. Okay.
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
Okay.
Ma'am, please
Just
share the entire screen.
okay. Okay. Probably I did the same. Is it now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Fine.
So good morning to all of you. So we are now at the end of our ongoing ATAL FDP program, and we have discussed about in detail the different processes and the biological component involved in these processes, and what could be the possible potential bio waste at global level and at Indian scenario. And then we also discussed about its conversion to different bioenergy, and what are the different bioenergy, how it can be produced, what is the current status of this knowledge and research, and what global impact has been reported till now, has been discussed in detail by various experts, including the group researchers of my team. So today I am just telling you all about different case studies throughout the world which has been reported so far. So starting with the basic slide that stating that what's the history of biofuels. You should know that Henry Ford originally designed the Model T. It's a Model T is the vehicle which has been designed, which initially ran on ethanol. And then later on, Rudolf Diesel, who invented the diesel engine, and it was originally designed to run on vegetable oil. And just to recall that during World War II, the demand for biofuel increased once again because fossil fuels became less abundant, and which was realized in 1970. So you should know here again that people use biomass materials, which included plants or its derived products, or even manure, in the form of burning wood for cooking, for warmth or steam production. But late 1800s, wood was replaced by the coal, okay, as the primary means of steam generation. And then ethanol was first prepared synthetically in 1826 through the independent effort of Henry Hannell and in Britain, and Cerulus in France. And then in continuation, Samuel has developed an engine which ran on ethanol and turpentine. So going ahead in 1850s, ethanol was used as the lighting fuel. And then in 60s, during the US Civil War, a liquid tax was placed on ethanol whiskey to raise money for the war. So in 1919, prohibition was came into act in US because ethanol was banned, and because people consume it as a liquor, so it could not be sold until and unless it's mixed in the petroleum. So in 20s, Standard Oil began to be added in ethanol to gasoline to increase their octane number and reduce the engine knocking. So around about 9 million automobiles in the United States came up and many gas stations were opened there. In 1933, again prohibition, which was implied in the US, was ended and ethanol was again started to be used as a fuel again. So in 1940, ethanol use increases temporarily during World War II and when oil and other resources were scarce. So then it was the first US ethanol plant was established in Omaha, Nebraska. And in 1970s, interest in ethanol as a transportation fuel was again revived when embargoes by major oil producing countries they cut the gasoline supplies. And nearly 1975, Brazil formed the pro alcohol program. I showed you the pic in my lecture, and it was with the aim that foreign oil dependency has to be reduced. And that time, Brazil began making ethanol from sugarcane. So you know that sugarcane is the major source for producing the ethanol. So 2G ethanol definitely will be using the bagasse, okay, not the sugarcane. So understand here. So in 80s, after investing heavily in renewable fuels in 1970s, then Brazil kept the program functional during 80s and they had the robust ethanol program by that time with developed ethanol industry. So they had ethanol only cars, they had many other auto sales. So that country started making this as a biggest alternative fuel market in the world. To understand how much Brazil has already grown. And in 88, ethanol began to be added to the gasoline for the purpose of reducing carbon monoxide emissions. Because by the time carbon was too much in the atmosphere. So it was realized quite early in developed countries. So in 1989, Canada and the US they conducted pilot trials of direct wood-fired gas turbine plants. In 90s, biomass electricity generation produced 6 gigawatts using the biomass. So in 2000, Brazil deregulated the ethanol market and removed its subsidies. And it was recommended that all fuels must be blended with 20 to 25% ethanol, which now we are realizing now that blending has to be done. And we are in 2021. We are 20 years lagging behind to them. So in since 2003, ethanol has grown rapidly as the oxygenating factor for gasoline in the US. And by the time flex fuel vehicles were introduced, and these vehicles can run on plain ethanol or plain gasoline or even blend of the two. So now you understood here that global biofuel production increased 10 billion liters in 2018 to reach a record of 154 billion liters. And output is forecast to increase 25% to by 2024. So similarly, the US, which is the leading biofuel producer in the world in 2020, with production amounting 1347 petajoules, and Brazil and Indonesia they ranked second and third. Now you know that liquid biofuels like bioethanol, biodiesel, and other biofuels, and their contribution in different years, which we have discussed. And again, just to revise that the global production of these biofuels, it is increasing at a rate of, say, bioethanol is increasing at a rate of 26%, and the this one, other biofuels, they are at a rate of 13%, and biodiesel at a rate of a 12%. So there is a continuous increase in the bioethanol or biodiesel or bioethanol biofuels production. So overall, you know that the what is the intersection point of all these three bioenergies, bioethanol or biofuels or biodiesel. So so now you again see that basically Americans America is dominating for the biofuel production globally, because North and South America together produce 75% of the biofuels globally, and with Europe having just share of 14%. And the main biofuel in America is the bioethanol, which is just 87% of the total global bioethanol production. You should know here again that USA is using corn as a feedstock for ethanol production, while Brazil use basically the sugar cane. So this all these we have already discussed, that biogas, what is the status of the production of biogas globally, and its energy content. Just to revise, in year 2018, 59.3 billion meter cube of biogas was produced globally, which contained the energy of 1.36 exajoule equivalent energy. Okay, so you can see that there is a steep rise in the production of these biogas, and the energy present in these biogas is also increasing accordingly. Overall, if you see the contribution which was done in biogas, you will see that European Union is leading in comparison to other, where Asia is having 19.3. So Europe produced 30.9 billion meter cube of biogas, which has the energy of 0.71 exajoule. Whereas Asia is coming second with the share of the 32%. So you can see here that different biofuel production by different countries. And here you can see the biofuel energy production in terms of watts, terawatts. The US is leading in comparison to the Brazil and the United Kingdom and Mexico. So if you see that the global biofuel market, it is expected to reach a market size of 153.8 billion US dollars by 2024. So this is what is being targeted for the biofuel production, and for these uh, fats and oils, they were used, as well as some other agricultural, non-agricultural feedstock was used. So worldwide, if you see across the years from 2000 to 2020, these biofuel production, initially there is a steep rise followed with the continuous increase in a stepwise manner. However, in 2020, there is a decline in the production. So this is what we have already shown and discussed, what is the annual growth rate which was achieved. It is in 16, it was 5% annual growth rate. Here this plot is very interesting here to see that what's the biofuel demand What is the biofuel demand development in various regions? The upper one is showing for the change in the ethanol demand, and in this plot this one is showing a change in the biodiesel demand. If you see that there is an increasing biodiesel share, see the this quarter. If here the lower one, if you up see, then there is a decrease in the biodiesel share, like in the Thailand. Regarding the ethanol, it is all they are. There is an increased ethanol share. But when you compare, Thailand is demanding more ethanol and less biodiesel. You can compare this way. Brazil require less biodiesel in comparison to the ethanol. Likewise, United States is also the same. They also wanted to use ethanol in comparison to the biodiesel. Okay. Likewise, European Union here it is somewhere lying, and that means they are basically using the. It's a very nice representation of comparing the shares of different bioenergy dependency. Here you can see the consolidated table where you can see that which nation, how much ethanol or biodiesel they produce. That's a production ranking. And for ethanol or biodiesel, what feedstock they are basically using in their country. Like we are interested in India, you see that for ethanol we go for molasses, and for biodiesel we go for the used cooking oil. Like US, they basically use the maize in their residues, and for biodiesel they use the soybean oil or the cooking oil. Brazil, you might be interested, they use either maize or sugarcane for the ethanol production, and for biodiesel they are basically using soybean. Okay, you can read later on as per your requirement. So overall, you see that global ethanol production is projected to increase by 132 billion liter by 2030. Okay, this is the future projection which is being done for the global production. However, biodiesel production is targeted to be achieved to 50 billion liters. This is the theoretical projections. So based on the ethanol consumptions, this chart is being prepared to let you know the different countries, US, Brazil, China, European Union, Thailand, what is their consumption. So here this is the graphical representation of showing that how much they depend. So basically you see that US and Brazil, they are leading for utilization of ethanol based economy. Okay. Similarly, for the if you see the biodiesel based economy, then also you see that this one European Union is leading, followed with the US, and then Brazil, then you have the Indonesia, and then the Brazil. Okay, this is a very clear representation, very nice graph they prepared for interpreting. So if you go for the biofuel trade and who is dominating at the global level. So this plot is also very nice. This upward, this one, it is showing that this one, the imports, it is going down, and this one, the green one, top five importers. They are the top five importers, and the upward graph is showing the exporters. And this is being shown for the year 2010 and till 2030. And here they have shown that which are the main countries. They are the US, Brazil, European Union, Pakistan, and UK. So it is the complete assessment of all these six countries, whether they are sufficient for exporting or importing. So you can see that starting from 2010 to 2030, definitely it is the prediction for the ethanol as well as for the biodiesel. So you can see the comparison, and it's very interesting to know that all these countries they export ethanol as well as they export biodiesel, And not only that, they import also ethanol and biodiesel as per their requirement. So now coming to the case studies, which is very important for you people to realize the growth of bioenergy across the globe. One case study which is describing 0 miles product. And according to that, what was the aim of this case study? It was developed by Technical University of Denmark in Lyngby. And what they used spent coffee grounded material, SCG, for the ethanol production. So what was the aim? The aim was that waste product which is being produced in a local community, so can it cover the fuel need of the same community through the biotechnological process rather than to make a detailed economic analysis for a biofuel plant. Okay, so they extracted the sugars from these spent coffee grounds which was collected from that region, which was used at different restaurants, and they found it that yes, what is the status? They could usually 18 ton of coffee bean, which is brewed in that region, and so what they obtained that solid in the brew is 20%, and they collected 327 kg of dry spent coffee grounds every week in that campus, and which is considered as a very good feed stock. And they processed it to extract the ethanol. And you'll be happy to know that fuel consumption, the DTU campus, which is responsible for maintaining and developing the facilities at campus, they purchase about 4,000 liter of petroleum based fuel per year to power their vehicles, which costed 5429. So it was saved by using this spent coffee grounds. So this is the schematics of their pilot plant. They did the acid hydrolysis, then they filtered it, and insoluble lignin was separated out, and followed with acid hydrolysis. They did the neutralization, and then they hydrolyzed it using enzymes. That enzymes led to the uh, release of simple sugars and monomers of proteins, that is amino acids, fats, and then they did the fermentation in the reactor. Then they distilled it, the product, and that product was then stored and used for uh, vehicle purpose for automobiles. So this is what you can see, that basically digestion is taking place on all the three, because microbes are present here also, here also, here also, and all these are showing that they are anaerobically digested. So just to explain the process, they used 1% sulfuric acid, and they used 15% weight by volume of the dry spent coffee grounds. Then they heated it at 121 degrees centigrade for 15 minutes. And then in the enzymatic process, they used 2% volume by volume of the cellulase for degrading the cellulose. And then during the fermentation, they use 10% yeast as the seed culture, which is considered as inoculum. And it was anaerobically digested in fermentation tank at 30 degrees centigrade at pH 5. And what they obtained, and a total of 2182 liter of 1% sulfuric acid solution is expected to be required to process complete 327 kg of SCG. Okay, so overall, when you see that, uh, okay, they found it that yes, they were successful in extracting the ethanol, and enzyme they used 2% cellulose mixture, and it was pre-treated for 24 hours at 50 degrees centigrade. Okay, now coming to the another case study. This is the case study for bioenergy production using orange industrial waste. Orange, which is your fruit, so it also produces lot of fruit pulp and the peel after its processing. So it is also a kind of global threat how to use it in a biorefinery concept. So different pre-treatment were done to produce the bioethanol and methane as environmentally friendly fuels. And some other co-products was also achieved like limonene and pectin. So coming at this table is showing how this orange peel, citrus peel, rice hull, orange peel, citrus peel, they can be used by these pre-treatment techniques to produce the bioenergy like biogas, biohydrogen, bioethanol, pectin, cellulase, biohydrogen, and so on. And for all these different technology were operated like anaerobic digestion or fermentation or two-stage pyrolysis, solid state fermentation, etc. And the process condition is mentioned over here, no need to read out. You can read later on as you require. Similarly, you can see that these peels all were used, and this is the scheme which has been used to explain that you had lot of orange, you extracted juice. Food industry is having lot of pulp and peel. Juice is being sold, and these agro-industrial waste was separated from the peel. Polyphenols, carotenoids, volatile compounds, polysaccharides are isolated, and from the internal pulp, pectin, sugar, protein, and then converted to ash. Seeds, from seeds, essential oils, polyphenols, tocopherols, and fatty acids are separated out. So for getting all these, definitely processes have to be optimized. And this is the biorefinery concept, that every part of that residue is being used for generation of useful things, that is the valuable things, and those can be bioenergy or your any other health supplements which can be extracted out. This is another case study of the northern Italy, where they use the indicators of the environmental performance to assess the wood-based bioenergy production. In this study, life cycle assessment was used to explore the performance of alpine area of northern Italy forest products. So it is a wood-based bioenergy plant, and how much the amount of CO2 which was emitted is just 0.25 kg CO2 equivalent to kilo per watt, and the fossil demand is zero point zero 0.09 kg oil equivalent to kilo per watt, which was calculated for the investigated bioenergy plant, and it resulted lower than the values characterizing fossil fuel based power plant. So they say that this wood based biomass is less producing less GHG emission and having more energy. So such kind of power plant they used for extracting the energy using this wood, and they had the boilers, and in those boilers they are producing methane, they are producing they are processing the wood biomass in different modules, and they are also producing electricity directly through this. So you see here that contribution of bioenergy and fossil based power plants. So you will see here that the how natural gas, oil, hard coal, and bioenergy plant. So this is the comparison which is being shown, and This one is the comparison of or contribution of bioenergy and other power plant based on renewable. The chart is showing that bioenergy plant assessment over here, because you know the calorific value of these bioenergy is very high. So you can see that by this plant, basically you were able to get the lot of methane. It is 84% is the methane, and this one is the small wood chip you obtain. 6% electricity you can get, and for transport they used 1% of it and some other purposes. This one is a case study at the Tongren pig farm in China. There, what you see that water hyacinth, it is growing a lot in the river and lakes, as well as there is a lot of meat demand in China. So they had sufficient waste coming from the pig farms. So all these two waste, water hyacinth and the manure, it is becoming a problem, serious problem, ecological serious as well as environmental problem. So they proposed a integrated, sustainable and ecological way to treat these two problems. And for that, they plan to make the biogas production. And for biogas production, they took the special parameters to control. These are the carbon to nitrogen ratio, and they made a plant, and according to that plant, these water hyacinth or wastewater, they all were collected, and then it is underground fermentation tank, it is incubated, and finally they are providing heat using the solar energy panels for these fermentations, and then they did the ground fermentation and collected the gases, desulfurized it, and then passed it to the generator for electricity generation. And the residues are used for manure and or water. Wastewater is used for growing the mulberries. So then they interpreted the result and they found out that these water hyacinth and pig manure in a specific proportion, when it is added, it is affecting the bioprocess because the carbon to nitrogen ratio is getting altered, and it is giving you the optimum at 15% when your water hyacinth proportion is 15% in it. So maximum biogas production was achieved there. And the carbon to nitrogen ratio is varying when you vary the water hyacinth proportion. So this is what is the result. It has been shown the chemical properties of these two sources also. And they use the solar powered water heating of this tank. So no need to supply extra energy. This is another case study which was used, and for that, the switchgrass based bioenergy production was studied in this case study in the Iran, and it was the objective is same, which is there everywhere. So here you can see that the desirable level of social and environmental preservation can be achieved using such kind of planning to harvest the energy as well as protecting the ecosystem. And there they found out that GHG emission is reduced, they created job, and it is sustainable as well. So based on the availability of the switchgrass, they found out that as the switchgrass availability increased, there is a more number of jobs are created, and total GHG emission is also decreased. It is the graphical representation, you understand. Another case study which was studied in the Italy, and they use the GIS model and how to utilize those forest reserves for the bioenergy production. So for that, they use the GIS to locate the potential amount of woody biomass from different sector of the forest, and they evaluated it. And based on that, various aspects they found out, and then in the model they considered soil and water protection, biodiversity and habitat conservation. They took fire risk prevention, tourist and recreational function, economic evaluation. So they structured the model accordingly for its application. Like it has been shown that they did the large study area, and they did the medium study area. And this one, gray one, is the large study area, green one is the medium study area, and this one, yellow one, is the small study area. And then result, whatever they found, they interpreted in a way that uh, that model is able to depict the territorial differences in several contexts, because that is influencing the biomass availability. So naturally, they then uh, sorted out what are the different multifunctionality variables as it is stated over here, and then they compared all the three studies, small scale, medium scale, and the large scale analysis, and they found out the that this DIS model is successful for analyzing all these aspects. This is another case study of the Denmark, where they use the roadside grass for the bioenergy production. And you know that you'll be happy to know that the net energy gain from these harvests which they collected, transport, storage, and digestion, etc., it ranges from 60,126 to 121,476 gigajoule. And it's a huge amount of energy, which is corresponding to 1.5 to 3% of the present national energy production based on biogas. So you should know here that how much potential these roadside grasses have. This is a pictorial representation of the roadside grass, how this can be used for harvesting the energy. So realize the potential of the bioenergy. And it's a buffer analysis which is being shown, that farm scale biogas plant is somewhere here. Then these are the buffer zones. So it is assessing the radii of the needed space around the biogas plant. So in order to fully cover the road network, this study was done, and they calculated the input energy, output energy, NEG and OEI, which is energy return of invested energy, and the net energy gain. And then they compared it, what will be the farm scale biogas plant output and the centralized biogas plant output. And so they found out that how much energy is consumed during transport, harvest, loading, unloading, storage, operation, and final produced energy. So this is a comparative of all the aspects. So then they did the energy balance analysis as well. Okay, how much energy will be consumed for all these assumptions. It's a state case study of Argentina. They they studied the impact of bioenergy production on surplus agricultural land. And here an input output model they developed with which the direct, indirect, and induced macroeconomic impact of bioenergy production and agricultural intensification, which is needed to make agricultural land available for bioenergy production. So, this was studied, and in this study, large scale pellet production in 2015 increased the GDP by 4% and increased the import by 10% and employment by 6%. And this was when was compared in comparison to the 2001. So it is found that agricultural intensification, the increase in GDP as a result of bioenergy production on surplus agricultural land, it will amount to 16%, 20% in import, and 16% in employment as compared to the data of 2001. So here it is shown that how much energy is present in the pellet of the eucalyptus in Argentina. So these are the details of those eucalyptus wood, like density, plantation, moisture content, and then how much energy will be there in these pellets. So this is the consolidated presentation of the variation for sensitive analysis of different parameters shown over here. So this one is the case study which is done in developing countries for energy production using sugarcane in the mills. Like in Colombia, the sugarcane is one of a major biomass, and it was used for the ethanol production because they had lot of tons of sugar cane which is being utilized for the purpose, and they found out that 33 megawatt of energy can be produced which can benefit the company, and they use this model for extracting the energy after getting the juice, and this juice they sold it, and then sugar they prepared, and the rest they used for extracting the alcohol, vinasse, and the end product directly for the fertilizer. So this is a biorefinery concept of the sugarcane milling plant where the cogeneration cycle is completed in this manner. In Germany, case study is being done by linking the wastewater treatment, crop production, and bioenergy production all together. It is also one of the very important case study, and they did the cost benefit analysis, and they found out that benefits are many because you are comparing the cost of water irrigation, disposal handling, and many other associated costs. So such kind of integrated approach, they give you profit as well as it lowers the cost of wastewater treatment and sludge disposal. And it was found out that it has 77% more added value. So they put forward such kind of linkage scheme for the wastewater reuse scheme in Brunswick, Germany. You can see here wastewater, primary treatment, secondary treatment. Then these secondary treated sewage sludge is being flowing in this way, and then secondary treated effluent, liquid part and the solid part. Solid part digested, then dewatered, then stored, transported, spreaded, incorporated for the crop production. And the liquid part 60%, 40% infiltrated drainage, clean one, drainage, clear water. So 60% goes to the mixture added with the sludge, delivered, distributed, then irrigated, and then it is used for the crop production. Then crop can be a food crop, and then you get the clear water. You can also grow the energy crop, and these energy crop can further be harvested and processed to give you the biogas and other bioenergy to generate the heat or electricity. So such kind of linkage scheme was given. This is the another case study for the energy production by using the wildlife burnt areas. So wildfire burnt, sorry, not wildlife, it is wildfire. Wildfire burnt forest biomass can be used as a feedstock for bioenergy power generation stations. This case study was conducted in Ontario, Canada, and the cost which was incurred for processing and delivering the biomass from wildfire burnt area with a hauling distance of 7 km and trip cycle time of 2.55 hours, it was found to be $29.65 gigaton liter with net energy content of 11.4 gigajoule. Okay, so you see here the energy analysis which was done. It has a net energy output to input ratio of 35:1 for the operation. So this one is the proportion of the energy which was embedded in the various logging system component. This was calculated. So some of the direct energy input in this form was given, and some of the indirect energy input in terms of the mining, construction, transport, etc. etc. So this is the process diagram of biomass procurement using full tree to roadside, and then from roadside crusher to mill system with the system boundary outline. These are the different estimates for the biomass which was collected, and each component of those biomass, what are the details. This is another case study of the Austria, where what technologies, uses, market and future trends were studied, and what they found out that bioheat has a stable market, and so bioheat is considered as one of the very important bioenergy application in Austria, and it was realized that 170 pj in 2017, and it was obtained from woody biomass only. So increase in all bioenergy uses is required to achieve the Austrian plan to be climate neutral in by 2040. So it was found that old oil boilers and production of biomethane and early commercialization of combined heat and power with a high efficiency or demonstration of advanced biofuel production can be used there. Like here it is shown that in Austria, European Union and world, that energy which is majorly used for transport, heat, electricity in Austria. And throughout the world, you see that it is the non-renewable energy, and then which is being used for this one, majorly for heat, transport, electricity. So in Austria, if you see in this study, they found out that solid woody biomass contribute the major one, and then they used it They also use the chips for and the logs. Here the chips are the major one in comparison to the logs of those solid woody mass for extracting the heat, electricity or fuel. Then they shown the exact major proportion is for the bioheat, and then this green one, the other biofuels, and then you have the bioelectricity, some part which is coming from either wood or other sources for the bioelectricity generation. And it is for the year 2005, 2010, 15, and 17. Like after every 5 years, they did this study. And then they have collected this plot to know the exact contribution of these woody biomass. And then they use such type of system for extracting the heat. Here you see that the SA and PA. है ना? So you can see this under feed stoker, and this is horizontal feed unit, and this is a drop down from top to down, drop down. These are boilers which were used by them, and you can see this PA is the primary air for facilitating the burning, and this is the secondary air. So primary and secondary is showing the location of the air from where it is being flown inside. So from the log down boiler, from log to down, it is giving you the heat. And this one is the combi wood log, and here it is the this one downdraft for logs. It's a showing the schematics. It's a very big setup. As it is shown, it looks that might be generating tremendous amount of heat. So this is the way they are generating the power in Austria, and they found that it is very efficient technology. So these digestion and gasification, it's a major one there. So this is the CU schematics of the steam boiler, and the flue gas is recirculated. This one, flue gas which is coming out from that boiler is again recirculated to facilitate this boiling. So this is the scheme for the biogas plant for CHP with the gas engine. And this is another scheme of this CHP plant. And this one is the CHP plant on stage gasification with air. So you see that energy in petajoules from all different types of liquid biofuels, whether it is biodiesel, mixed or others. Here you can see and different times. Similarly, for all the bioethanol, HVO or biodiesel or pure vegetable oil, majorly it is the biodiesel it is contributing. So you can see here that biodiesel is giving you the lot of valuables in terms of whether it is glycerine or free fatty acid or fertilizer. From glycerine you can produce the pharmaceutical glycerine, then biodiesel and some other distilled side product you can achieve. Likewise, bioethanol is also giving you plenty of uh, revenue. So here it is shown that some of the synthetic reactions for production of other biofuels like methanol and then ethanol or other hydrocarbons which can be used for production of energy using various catalysts. Here nanotechnology is playing a role. So mainly some of the commercial and demonstration plants in Europe for advanced biofuel production using the thermochemical processes are being studied. Someone asked this hydroprocessed oil is giving the good amount of energy, and that is true. So this is the life cycle analysis of bioenergy chain in Italy. This is also a case study, and this model was developed. Life cycle assessment model was developed to see that at the end of fermentation, the digestate and site specific data, what is the impact of these adopted energy conservation conversion technologies. And it was found that and confirmed that bioenergy is not autonomically automatically synonymous with sustainable energy, as the differences in terms of environmental performance. It is remarkable. So you can see here that energy return on investment, it is coming to be 3 to 5, and this GHG's potential depends on several factors, and it is heavily influenced by the reference non-renewable energy to be substituted. Okay, so system boundaries and main subsystems they have shown over here. Various energy crops digested, giving biogas, then cogeneration unit giving you electricity and heat. So you can see here at the end you have the digestate, you stored it, spread it, it may give you some emission. So they founded that how this cow manure was used along with the crop for facilitating complete energy, electricity or heat conversion. This is the case study of UK Heathland. They studied the impact of bioenergy production on ecosystem dynamics and services. What is the main benefit? They found that with 95% recycling of nitrogen, biomass production was increased by up to 25% for a cut fraction of zero point 0.4, but at the expense of higher nitrogen accumulation, and the system was less capable to withstand high atmospheric nitrogen deposition. So here you see the techno-ecological system for bioenergy production from heathland biomass. You can see here that the schematics of biomass, growing the biomass, harvesting the biomass. Then what is the mortality of biomass? So how much carbon is growing in the soil, which is lost from the litter. After mortality, how much nitrogen goes into the soil. And then the harvested one, which was digested to give you the biogas to extract electricity and heat. All these they studied, and this plot is showing that the biomass or nitrogen and biomass rate. So they converted this, they have seen across the year what is the trend they obtained. Similarly, they compared the carbon, nitrogen, and biomass as well. With respect to the time, and with respect to the annual cut fractions. And then they created the data to know that how much nitrogen is recycled and how much carbon is entered in the soil or converted to the biogas, as you can see in these plots. So this was the case study done there. And this one is the case study of the North Carolina. They studied the effect of policy-based bioenergy demand on southern timber market. In this case study, they combined some assumptions regarding energy efficiency, logging residual utilization, and traditional wood demand over time. And they simulated the impact of increased woody biomass demand on timber market. And they found out that logging residuals alone is not sufficient to meet the bioenergy demand from North Carolina renewable portfolio standard. So a small pulpwood or roundwood may be used to meet remaining bioenergy demand, which increase the timber prices, and naturally traditional products are then displaced. So higher forest landowner income that resulted in that, and there is a change in the structure. So you can see here that North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina, they are basically assumed to contribute to biomass demands. So looking at all these needs, we can conclude here that availability of biomass is is very important factor. If we want to be the uh, bioenergy based economy, then we have to get the sustainable or continuous without any scarcity these different biomasses available. So this is very important factor. A case study which was done in northern Kentucky, they did a altogether different type of case study to see the socio-economic and environmental factors for these bioenergy crop production. They found that by integrating sustainable dimensions like social, economic, and environmental factors for bioenergy crop production, and it was applied for 4 country study area in northern Kentucky, and it provided a regional examination for the potential of bioenergy crops for energy production. And this model can serve as effective tool for making bioenergy production planning and management decision. Here this 4 country area with different land cover types is shown. This red is the coal plant and this square block is the country. 1, 2, 3, 4. And land cover is according to this color. What is growing over there, whether it is barren or growing corn or it is forest or whatever. So in these 4 locations, they have chosen for growing the bioenergy crops. And this plot is showing a variation of total yield with respect to the uncertainty in potential yield of the 2 crops, which are sweet gum and American sycamore. Ukraine and Brazil did the case study to see the impact of sustainability criteria on the cost and potential of bioenergy production. And this is the general procedure that is followed to analyze the impact of sustainability criteria on the cost supply curve of energy crop production. And with an example of the labor conditions. So this scheme they followed, as you can see. In Canada, the role of bioenergy in low carbon energy transition scenario, a case study was planned and did. And results indicated that a large share of bioenergy in 2030, there is the reduction in the GHG, and provided there is a fourfold increase in the amount of feedstock. So this is the condition. So feedstock should not be limiting. This much you have to ensure. So here they compared the annual availability of different resources for bioenergy production utilizing these processes. It is being compared different available feedstock as it is shown in the table, you can see. And finally, how much energy they obtained and how much energy they consumed at various levels. And they have seen that GHG is decreasing. You can see across the years when you see from 2011 to 2030, it is presumed that it is going to decrease slowly, slowly, slowly. And that makes a great impact for environment protection and its sustainability. So GHG 1, 2, 3, 4, they are being categorized like this in different sectors. It is shown over here, you can understand, like production, electricity, residential, industrial, and so on. So the final energy consumptions by fuel in Cube, and this one primary energy consumptions by type, which type, thermal, biomass, renewable, or hydro. And here it was the final energy consumptions by fuel. So it is all compared and analyzed in different ways. So how much bioenergy consumption, production, what are the feedstocks in cubic, and in Canada, life cycle assessment was done for forest-based biomass, and they did it, and they found out the combustion and gasification technologies, which is playing a very important role and having a different capacity, megawatt capacity, and they came forward with this scheme to deal with this feedstock, and then they compared the different costs, and they finally converted the huge amount of these log to the heat and electricity as it is shown, heat in gigajoule and electricity in megawatt. So this is the internal combustion ICE they used in it, and finally using the gasifier and ICE they are able to convert the all log to the huge amount of heat and electricity as shown. This is the contribution analysis for the impact category ecotoxicity they did, and here you can see that they have put the with different mark what they have used for what purpose. In Taiwan, potential bioenergy production from biomass waste of rice paddies and forest sector is compared, and overall annual bioenergy potential of biomass, what they found out, it is 222.37 petajoule, and bioethanol 206.77 petajoule. So you can see that they have also a huge potential for these biomass, which is being shown with this graph, and this framework study they used for treating the rice paddy waste and the forest sector waste. So if these waste can be utilized judiciously with current technologies, huge amount of energy can be extracted out. This is the study of the sustainable bioenergy production model for eradicating open field burning of paddy straw in Punjab. It has been seen that paddy straw is not being burned. It can be effectively utilized for biomethanation and bioethanol, and it can give you 8 gigajoule per ton of biomethane if treated, and 5.6 gigajoule per ton of bioethanol. And if it is done, then it will reduce the global warming potential, and similarly bioethanol can even reduce to 2549 from 2750 CO2, which is liberated by biomethane. So overall global warming can be treated. This process flow was used in Punjab. Pre-treatment digested using this process, collected the biogas, and which is used for various applications, whether it is vehicular or power generation or rich biomanure production. This operating condition is used for biomethane formation. As I have told you, many parameters have an impact on these output, like operation cycle, hydraulic retention time, operating temperature, adjusted carbon to nitrogen ratio, and total solid and volatile solid concentration. They obtain bioethane and bioethanol using per ton of paddy straw, which is equivalent to the total energy. So then they used it and then they studied it in this scheme. As you know already, reduction in the global warming, reduction in the health related issues, and dependency on the renewable energy. So this is all about different case studies. So, okay, करोगे? वो demo. So this is all about the case studies which I found that you should know at the moment, because now you are acquainted with all the technologies, all the challenges. So this much success has been achieved in the area of the biomass to bioenergy. So I will stop here now, and all of you are requested to have any discussion on this topic or any query, this is the right time to discuss, because next session is totally different. It is going to be related to your stress, your health, and your happiness. So, this session will be very important, and it is going to be beneficial for all. So, smile everyone, because we have reached to the end, and we have prepared some questions for you to evaluate, and we will start at 2:30 p.m. sharp 2:30 p.m. So all the participants are have to join that session. It is mandatory, because if you will not appear, then definitely you will be considered absent, because you have to secure 60% of marks, and after that only you will be issued the certificate from the ATAL side. And after the examination, I will provide you the link to give your feedback, because that feedback helps us in designing the future course, as well as what you expect from us or any suggestions. Hello.
Participants, your mic has been enabled. If you have any query, suggestion, doubt that needs to be addressed, ma'am is there to help you with that. Kindly come forward.
नहीं है? Hello. Your mic is enabled. You can ask directly your queries.
Dear participants, please go ahead with your queries or any suggestion that you want to give. Yes, Asaveri Tamhane, please go ahead.
मैंने लॉगआउट कर ली मैं जाके इसका ना नहीं
Hello. Anyone wanted to
Asavri, you
ask?
want to ask anything? Please go ahead.
I think no one is interested in asking anything. They understood everything. So announce them that they should be there at 12 o'clock for the next
Sure,
session. Yes.
sure, ma'am. Dear participants, our next session will begin at 12 noon and it will be related to happiness and health. It's basically a talk and interaction. You can have a mutual interaction with ma'am, and we
मैडम आई
request you. Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
yes uh, Dr. Anjana Pandey ma'am, it was a very nice talk from your side. And
Mhm.
Dr. Atri Ghosh, I am from Kolkata, and I wanted to know one thing, that
Mhm.
in algal culture, for
Yeah.
biofuel generation, pure strain is better or mixed strain is better?
Okay. It is one of a very important question which is related to research. Hmm? I would suggest that you should have the exact idea or exact values of your process parameter optimization with respect to the pure culture.
Okay,
You
ma'am.
can use the sludge, you can use the mixed culture, but you should know what are the microbes present in it, whether fermentative or photofermentative or algal culture. because it is very important. Sometimes alkali gens which produce lot of pH change, and that actually unfavors the gas production. So in that case, some polyalkanoates like PHBs or any other polymers get produced. Then yield will decrease. So that is the factor which is a alarming factor. So that much assurance must be there. So collect the cultures from the anaerobic environment, or if you are collecting it from the open pond or somewhere, then go deep at least 15 meters, and then from there collect. Then you use it as such, but you analyze and know what are the microbes present in it. If suppose you are using the algal cultures, then you should know that basically algal cultures are identified by its color. By its color, you can say whether it is Synechocystis which is dominating, or Anabina is dominating, or Spirogyra is dominating, or Chlorella is dominating. Like us, we can see the picture of like photographic film. I can see the film and can tell you, yes, this is the alga present in it.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand what I mean to say?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
basically, natural selection happens in that way. What's the pH? What's the environment condition? Then one culture dominates over that.
Okay.
Because like it happens with the microbe also. A film formed, like you put your food material overnight, three kind of food material: carbohydrate rich, fat rich, and then maybe protein rich. Okay, and then you just leave it in the kitchen. Next day you see some food will be smelling, some is not at that stage, depending upon the temperature, how much fouling has happened with the microbe. Then
Mm,
you see the microscopic picture of it, you will see that all three will have different bacteria.
mm.
Leave it for one more day, then you will see that they will start colonizing over it. And when they start colonizing, it is showing that all the colony is the pure one. Understand?
Yes,
All the
ma'am.
colony is the pure one, and it is coming out of one bacteria only.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it?
Yes.
So that's why I said that if suppose you want to use a consortia, then develop the consortia of the microbes which can live happily within a range of the pH. And that
Oh,
is the advantage of your process. If you develop a consortia, so you have a range of temperature and the pH where this consortia can live happily.
yes,
Like
ma'am.
I am producing something, you are utilizing it. You are producing something, third person is utilizing. Third
Yes.
person is producing something, both of us are utilizing. You understand?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
interdependency. Yes, it is a better approach to, if you want to go for a scale up, you develop the consortia. It's a
Okay.
better approach.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Most
ma'am.
most welcome. Any other?
I guess Kaka Sao wants to ask
Yes,
something.
yes, please.
Pardon if there is a mispronunciation in the name. Please go ahead.
You people don't hesitate in asking the questions. I'm really happy to answer these questions. Please come forward.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
Actually, ma'am, I just wanted to know what are the challenges we face when we try to utilize the pentose pathway for ethanol production.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Should I share the slide?
yes, ma'am, please.
Yes, it will give you a better picture. Just hold on.
Yes, ma'am, please. Yeah.
Is it visible? Full
Yes, ma'am.
screening is okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm telling you. Here you can see one pentose here, xylose. Okay, this
Yes,
xylose
ma'am.
which is coming out from hemicellulose. If suppose you are interested
Mhm.
in producing the ethanol, then you have to ensure that your microbe is designed or engineered in a way that it has the enzyme for utilizing the xylose, which is XR, which is xylose reductase, to convert to be converted into xylitol, and then xylitol dehydrogenase must be there to get it converted into xylulose. Xylulose will be further converted by xylulose kinase to PPP, and then it is pentose phosphate pathway. From there, it is entering into the glycolysis. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, here also you see that in this case also, which was done in the Xymomonas, there also this pathway is going to play a very important role, because basically pentose phosphate pathway is required, so you can get and reach to that stage before the glycolysis. So there you will have the enzyme which will give you the alcohol dehydrogenase, so you will get the ethanol. And so you should know that whether all these enzymes are there in your desired microbe or not. This is very important. So you can start with arabinose or xylose. In this pathway, you can see that how different enzymes are playing very important role. So integration of these pathway is important in the selected microbe. And naturally, for integrating that pathway, you can insert the gene through one plasmid or by integrating the helper plasmids. You can integrate these genes simultaneously in one operon, or you can integrate genes, or you can do the knocking out of the undesired gene and introduce your cassette, the cassette which is having these genes, because ultimately you require the insertion of these 5 carbon sugar into the cell, and then further utilization of those genes like TKT, TAL, ARA-A, ARA-B for its further conversion. ARA-D, here it is mentioned the full form.
Mhm.
So that metabolic engineering has to be done, and that metabolic engineering either you do it or you buy. Nowadays you have some ready-made plasmids as well, where they have integrated these genes in open reading frame, which is in control of the very strong promoter. So if it is under control of a strong promoter, then naturally the expression occurs at its optimum level. So once it is integrated, then naturally there is no problem for getting you the pyruvate. And once you are at high level of the pyruvate and all the reducing equivalents are targeted here, then naturally PDC action and ADH action, which is your pyruvate decarboxylase and alcohol dehydrogenase, is not a problem. Then you get the pure ethanol. You can increase the yield of the ethanol. So
Yes, ma'am.
here you have to integrate the knowledge of genetic engineering and the knowledge of the metabolic pathways. So you can better design or engineer your microbe for conversion of the lignin or hemicellulose originated pentose sugars. because everyone knows that these pentose sugars you obtain in less amount while pre-treating the lignins or hemicellulose. So, which is a major challenge. So that can
Yes,
be
ma'am.
achieved, provided you are degrading it in a very judicial manner, like I have shown you here, that how this pre-treatment is done to achieve the different part from the lignocellulosic mass. So you obtain the optimum level of these pentose sugar, and once these pentose sugars are here, a robust engineering gives you the uptake and then further conversion of these pentose sugar so it can enter into the pentose phosphate pathway to give you the pyruvate, which will be converted to the ethanol. Understand?
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
Here
thank you,
you
ma'am.
here you can see the pathway. Here
Mm,
also this is shown, that it is such a nice picture to show you the integration of the pentose phosphate pathway, and there is a one malate shunt pathway as well.
Shunt
Or
pathway.
yes, malate shunt pathway to convert the malate to pyruvate as well. So this can be overcome by introducing this path, which will be pyruvate kinase. Direct convert pyruvate to this phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate by
Mm,
omitting this path. So these are the ways to overcome the barriers. And these are the barriers actually. What are the barriers? Your reducing equivalents. The ratio of the NADPH to NADH, all these are very
mhm,
important role which actually put the thermodynamic limitation. And when you see the theoretical conversion, you
mhm,
theoretically find that any substrate is having huge hydrogen potential or ethanol potential, but when you do practically, the yield decreases. So these are the ways to decrease the or increase the yield. So definitely you want to increase if you
mm,
want to employ these biomass for the bioenergy production. So go for the these designing, because these designing metabolic engineering we say it actually lowers the limitations. If it lowers the limitations, then naturally yield will enhance. So that is called the directing the metabolic pathway in our own way. Okay.
mm.
Yes.
Okay.
Fine. You are from which
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
institute?
I'm from Integral University.
Lucknow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. So, ma'am, I think we should close our this session and
Just a
at,
moment, there is a query. Nahid, just a
okay,
moment.
okay, okay, okay,
Yes.
no issue.
LG. Okay. Someone has asked that in a chat through WhatsApp. Someone someone has asked that, Madam, can I visit your campus regarding to know algae conversation process and testing? So who is the one? Can he or she talk to me? You can come to my laboratory. I will show you whatever we have. We have two gas chromatograph. Their gas can be analyzed, as well as volatile fatty acids, whatever we are getting can be analyzed. We have small scale reactors also, which we are using for experiment purpose. And because we have not got the sanction here in this region, any reactor, pilot scale reactor, but at the institute level we have constructed some. I can show you. You can visit the mechanical engineering department also to see the different engines. I can teach you many other aspects as well, which will solve your issues. Rashi, you want to ask anything?
Ma'am, the good name was Prabhakaran P from SRM University, Chennai.
Okay, fine. But she is not available here probably.
Ma'am,
But
some mic issues.
okay, no problem. Oh, Rashi, you want to ask anything?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good morning,
Yes.
ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning. Tell me.
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask that when we do GC of any of the fuel,
Yeah.
do we come to know about the oxygen also, or oxygen as in compound?
Oxygen is not present in your gas actually, because
No,
at the
not in
start,
that. Yeah.
huh, at the
For
start of
example,
the
if I'm
yes,
yes, ma'am, you please proceed.
because at the start of the experiment we sparge it, and when we sparge it, then it is free of any oxygen, because your bacteria grows in the anaerobic condition, then only it produces the hydrogen,
Yeah,
because your
no.
hydrogen is, yes, tell me.
But I'm asking in case of biodiesel, if I have to do the GC of biodiesel, then can I find out that how much oxygen is present as a element, or can I only know the compound?
Regarding the biodiesel, I will tell you, we send the sample for analysis to the GCMS.
Yes, ma'am.
GCMS analyzer, because it is a liquid, na? In the liquid,
Huh.
you have different fatty acyl esters are there. So all those
Right.
esters will be identified. What is the carbon length? Where is the unsaturation? What is the position of the unsaturation? That all detail you will get.
Yes, ma'am. But actually, one of the reviewer asked me in one of my paper that you
Okay.
have not given the quantitative analysis of the oxygen that is present in your fuel with the help of GCMS and FTIR. But that is what I wanted to clear
I
with
don't
you.
think you will get oxygen in the
Right,
biodiesel,
ma'am. Right, ma'am.
because it
Because
is overall a different phase.
right.
Okay, you won't get it here. When you will burn the biodiesel in presence of the oxygen, then you will get the energy. You will get
Hmm.
the heat or the energy, whether you store it in the form of a your in the grid, or you just use it for fueling purpose
Mm-hmm.
or for the heat purpose. Like the hydrogen which we produce, when we pass it through the tube, I can show you the flame, the very nice flame coming out of it,
Mm-hmm.
the flame which you see in the compressed natural gas.
Okay.
You won't get
Thank you
any
so much.
oxygen in it.
Right,
I
ma'am.
think
Thank you
probably
so
he got confused, might be.
Might be, ma'am. Thank you
Hmm.
so much, ma'am.
No issues, thank you. Any other query? If not, then it's a break time. We'll again meet at 12 o'clock. Nahid,
Yes, ma'am.
you send one invitation again to the Varun Upadhyay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay then.